I thought I sounded sort of stupid, but everyone else said it went splendidly. Well, Mum moaned because her hair was a sight and she didn't have any makeup on. And Mac fussed because they'd cut out most of his bits and he was only shown from the waist up so no one could see his great hairy legs. But they didn't cut any of my bits. I might not have made it into the Children in Crisis documentary, but guess what? My news interview was repeated later in the year in a special compilation programme called Children of Courage. And I got to do another interview with a nice blonde lady with big teeth. And Mum spent some of Mac's betting money on a beautiful new outfit from the Flowerfield shopping centre for my special telly appearance. Mum made me try lots of frilly frocks, but they all looked awful. So she gave up and let me choose instead. I wanted black jeans so they wouldn't show the dirt. Mum bought me a black top too and tied a red scarf round my neck. And then guess what we found at the car boot sale? Red cowboy boots. They were a bit big, but we stuffed the toes with paper and I looked absolutely great. The blonde lady with the big teeth loved my outfit too. She said I looked just like a cowboy. I was a bit nervous, so without thinking, I got launched into a cowboy joke routine. Who wears a cowboy hat and spurs and lives under the sea? Billy the Squid. She laughed. It wasn't that funny. One of my oldest jokes, actually. But she laughed and laughed and laughed. She said she loved jokes. The older and cornier the better. And she said I could come on her special show one day and do my own comedy routine. My best and biggest ever breakfast. We couldn't go back to bed in room 608 when the fireman put the fire out at last. It wasn't all burnt to bits. It was only the kitchen that had cooked itself into little black crumbs. But the whole corridor was thick with smoke and sloshy with water, and all the rooms looked as if someone had run amok with giant paintbrushes and vats of black paint. All our stuff was covered in this black treacle, and there was a sharp smell that scratched at your nostrils.
Sorry, folks. You'll have to stay in temporary accommodation for a few weeks,
said the chief fireman, shaking his head. He looked surprised when all the residents of the Royal gave a hearty cheer. The manager was prancing about in his silk boxer shorts, pointing out that only a few of the rooms were seriously fire damaged and that the first few floors were barely affected. There was a lot of rushing around consulting, and eventually it was decided that only the people living on the top 2 floors need be evacuated. Us 6th floor and 5th floor people hugged and danced and shouted. All the other residents booed and argued and complained. Naomi and I had a big hug because she's on the 5th floor, so she could come too. Then Funnyface came and clapped his hands with me because those on the 4th floor, their room is right below the burnt kitchen and water had swirled right down through the room underneath and was dripping through to them, so they couldn't stay either. We were all ferried off in police cars and coaches to this church hall, where several big bossy ladies with cardigans over their nighties handed out blankets and pillows and sleeping bags. They gave us paper cups of hot soup too, which we needed because the church hall was freezing. The floor was slippery lino and fun to skid across in your socks, but not exactly cosy or comfy when we settled down to go to sleep. I didn't exactly rate bed number 8, and it soon got crowded because Pippa unzipped my sleeping bag and stuck herself in too. She kept having nightmares and twitching, and I had to keep waking her up and dragging her off to the toilet because I was all too aware of what would happen if I didn't. There was only one toilet, and there were queues for it all night long. It was worse in the morning. There was only one small wash basin too, and most people didn't have their toothbrushes or flannels or towels anyway.
I don't know why we were flipping cheering last night,
said Mum, trying to wipe round Hank's sticky face with a damp hanky.
Compared with this draughty old dump, the Royal is practically a palace. We can't stay here,
said Mac, sitting up and scratching.
I'm going right down that house and departing first thing.
Oh yeah? said Mum, looking at him. "You're walking down the road in your underpants, right? Don't forget you haven't even got any trousers anymore. And look at me. This is all I've got. The old nightie that I'm wearing. All my clothes, all my makeup, my crinoline lady ornament, all gone. Even if they're not ruined by that smoke, then someone will be bound to nick them before I can get back to claim them." She started to cry, so I went and put my arms round her. "Don't cry, Mum," I said, hugging her tight. "You've still got us." Mum snuffled a bit, but then hugged me back. "Yes, that's right, Elsa. I've still got my family, my Mac, my baby, my little girl, and my special big girl." The special big girl went a bit snuffly herself then. I was glad that Funny Face in the next row of sleeping bags was still fast asleep, or he might have jeered. He looked oddly little, snuggled up under the blanket, and he sucked his thumb and all. More big bossy ladies breezed into the hall and started eating up a big urn of tea. They had lots of packets of biscuits too. I helped hand them round to everyone. We could have seconds and even thirds. A bourbon, a shortbread finger, and a chocolate hobnob made quite a good breakfast. Then the ladies started dragging in great black plastic sacks crammed with clothes. "Come and help yourselves. There should be enough for a new outfit for everyone." "Oh, big deal," Mum grumbled. "It's just tatty old junk left over from Jumbles. I'm not wearing anyone's old crimpling cast-offs." She watched Funny Face's Mum trying to squeeze herself into a tight black skirt. "She's wasting her time. She'll never get that over a big bum," Mum mumbled. And when Funny Face's Mum had to give up the attempt, Mum darted out and snatched the skirt herself. "There, I thought so. That's a Betty Barclay skirt. I've seen them on sale in Flowerfields. Hey, look, does it fit?" Mum pulled it up over her narrow hips and stood preening. "I wonder if there's a jacket to go with it." Mum started skimming her way through the plastic sacks and came up with all sorts of goodies, even a pair of patent high heels her exact size. She had more trouble finding stuff for Mac, considering the only size he takes is out size. She found a jumper that could just about go round him, but the biggest trousers could barely do up, and the legs ended way above his ankles. Hank was a bit of a problem too. There were heaps of baby clothes, but he's such a big baby that the average 1-year-old sleeping suit came unpopped every time he breathed out and bent him up double into the bargain. Pippa was fine, fitting all the little frocks a treat, but I looked such a fool in the only one my size that Mum threw it back in the pile. Naomi tried it on instead and looked gorgeous, but then she always does. Funny Face was delving in a sack of boys' clothes, so I had to sift through too and found some jeans and a jumper and a really great baseball bomber jacket with a picture of a lion on the back.
"Well, we're all kitted out like a dog's dinner, but we still got no place to go,"
said Mac, but he was wrong. Oh, you'll never guess where we ended up. Someone from the social and the man from the housing office came round to the church hall to tell us we were all going to be temporarily accommodated in another hotel. Not a special bed and breakfast DHS dumping ground. A real hotel. The Star Hotel, with stars after its name. When we stepped through those starry glass doors, it was like finding fairyland.